Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Rick and Morty, Final DeSmithation. And I overall really enjoyed this episode. It did take a kind of crazy situation and escalate it pretty well, but I'm liking the balance that they've been doing of episodic and kind of still keeping continuity and lore intact. And it's interesting that the kind of loss of the portal gun has helped to focus and narrow down to a more kind of personal level in most instances of being character driven in shit that's going on rather than just crazy shit of the week, even though this does have a crazy shit of the week thing going on. So this episode pretty much opens up and Rick comes to them, the family eating at Panda Express. Summer and Morty are doing this kind of TikTok thing with, like, the taxi theme and trying to, like, fuck with Rick on it, even though it is linked to something about, like, kids with leukemia or whatnot. But they then start eating their fortune cookies, and they're seeing their fortunes, and they're mostly, pretty much innocent kind of ones until you get to Jerry's, and his says that he will have sex with his mom. And it's like, what the fuck? And he starts kind of freaking out about it. And the family's trying to go to the zoo, and for some reason, Jerry keeps eating, like, the zebra pellets that you're supposed to feed the zebras, and it, like, fucks with him, and it's like, yeah, you're not really supposed to do that. Until you get to the end where Morty's watching this commercial about, like, oh god, feed these zebras, don't eat it yourself, and then, like, there's murder and mayhem going on, and we're like, oh yeah, we're the ones in the zoo. So yeah, I kind of skipped ahead to that, but that's kind of where it ties back in. But he is afraid of the probability. He has been ignoring his mother and everything, and Rick's just like, all right, fine, I'll deal with this. You don't have to force him to go to the zoo. So the rest of the family goes. He then starts, like, fucking with the probability stuff. He does these tests with these boxes, and for some reason, instead of sticking his hand in the boxes, Jerry is like, yeah, I'd stick my fetus in this, as he's, like, flipping it, and every time he would pick 100% the box that had Jerry's mom, like, written in it. And Rick's like, okay, this is kind of weird. I kind of want to see what the fuck's going on with this shit. And he, like, did the probability on himself for, like, certain things happening. It's like, yeah, that's kind of in normal parameters, but you are inordinately more geared towards this. What the fuck's going on? So they go back to the Panda Express. He goes to, like, do his playlist, but it's the taxi theme as he's, like, blasting through. Like, he's got his laser guns. The rest have, like, machine guns and shit. And we find out that there's, like, a drug operation running out of the Panda Express. But they, like, come to their own kind of thing. He's like, listen, I just want to know where the fuck these cookies come from. It's like, oh, yeah, here. No problem. He's like, all right, you give me that shit. And they, of course, take one of the trucks that delivers the cookies. And he just lets them do what they want, even though he's kind of, like, murdered everyone. Granted, it was a pretty well choreographed action scene that, like, fit with the music, so I do give them top marks for that. I mean, granted, you could say that it's gratuitous violence, but it also works into the thing of like what I say with an action scene, it digs into Rick's character. He does not really value human life that much, even though we see a kind of shift on that as we're going through this episode, mainly in the case of Jerry, even though he still fucking hates Jerry. So they get in the car, the truck, get to the place, and it's like, what the fuck is going on with this place? As it's like this giant secret organization thing. We get the whole thing where he makes this whole kind of Thundercats reference as he gets turned into. He's like, listen, I could block out all of these cameras, but that would be just as bad as it. Like, it would be worse because they'd be like, hey, why the fuck are these cameras all out? It just, let's go with some disguises. So he gets himself a disguise. We get this Sailor Moon kind of thing for Jerry to also save kind of money as they then go through the compound and see what's kind of going on. And they've essentially monetized Fates. And it's definitely got that kind of MLM kind of scheme thing going on. We see people getting forced shitty fucking Fates on them, like this one dude's dick would be mangled by something in a UN building. It's like, what the fuck? And they're kind of going through, and they finally get to the place where the fortunes are made, and the whole kind of one shtick for the whole kind of joke is that fortune cookies are alien poop. Because they go through this whole thing where they're feeding this certain alien chaos. It's got digestive issues that then kind of works along the signs like the lines of gravity. Instead of small being pulled to big, it's like the known, like the unknown. Well, the known being pulled to the unknown kind of shit, or is it the other way around? The unknown being pulled to the known, kind of taking unknowable kind of chaos and bringing it into some kind of more kind of concrete kind of thing as they're writing out the fortunes. And we see that this old dude who's been caretaking the damn thing has fallen in love with it and has been writing out certain weird ass fucking things, which at first he started, you'll investigate this cookie factory, and then eventually getting to the point of like, you will have sex with your mom. But the thing is that like Jerry and Rick are like the first people to like come out, so that means that this dude has pretty much made these guys like, or women, anybody who gets that fortune, bang their moms. And it's just like, okay, fucking hell. And we pretty much see this Gwyneth Paltrow kind of knockoff pretty much popping up and like, take their asses out, because we'd seen before as they got there that they have like emergency like battle tactic kind of fortunes where this one dude would win a fight and he starts pretty much kicking Rick's ass, and Rick's like, damn, this kind of sucks, but I'm getting valuable data out of this, as he like pretty much used Jerry as a human shield, because since his fortune has not been fulfilled, he's essentially not able to die. So it's interesting to have that kind of shit introduced and to have those kind of rules kind of put out. Now granted, you could definitely go as kind of plot demandsy, but it's actually utilized very well within the plot, so I don't really think of it as that bad of a thing. It's a plot point that is introduced and effectively explained and utilized throughout. So there are certain instances where like the plot demands a new thing be introduced, but as long as it's introduced and executed well, not to the point where it's like, I demand a character act like an asshole just for the sake of it, when that person would probably bake you cinnamon rolls and be like, I love you, and instead it's like, eat my dick, motherfucker, kind of shit, just because you need him to be an asshole. But we see that Rick is kind of dealing with this, and the dude's acting kind of like crazy, but then the Gwyneth Paltrow pops up, starts like giving him kind of shit. We get a funny kind of Pokemon joke is like Rick's trying to figure out what kind of fortunes people have, like controlling fire, controlling water. The beast gets loose and shit and starts like killing some people. It's like, oh shit, I anthropomorphize this thing. It's gonna eat my ass. Eats the old man dead. Jerry is also getting closer and closer to his mom because the Gwyneth Paltrow knockoff has brought her to fulfill the fate from the fortune cookie, and Jerry is like trying to his damnedest to run away from his mom, as even his clothes start getting like ripped off. It's like, that's fucked up fate shit. He's like, I don't want this shit no more. No. And Rick is just like fighting around the room, and again, this is another great action scene showing Rick's ability to problem solve throughout these different scenarios with crazy ass variables thrown into play. And like sticking a dude to a wall, but he kind of gets sucked into this thing because one of the chaos ampules are pretty much ripped open and a giant void thing gets in. Well, not in, but you see this giant void thing going on. Like Rick even like fought the Gwyneth Paltrow knockoff by like taking all the money from Goldman Sachs, putting it in her company, making it the most successful, and pretty much making it so that she could be killed. And she kind of gets sucked into the hole as well. And Jerry is getting close to almost having sex with his mother because he's getting sucked into the thing. And Rick is got like the alien that can like poop out the cookies to give you the fate and everything. And he makes the decision to instead create a thing from one of the other fortune cookies and shoot it at Jerry to stop him from having sex with his mother. And it's like, wow, that was actually a big, impactful kind of character moment. Because normally Rick would do the... If he had like, it's interesting how to think about it, because I wasn't even thinking about it until I just like got to this point. Since he doesn't have the portal gun, there's no way for him to like hop to a universe where Jerry that wouldn't have sex with his mother isn't traumatized from that kind of event. So he's kind of got to be stuck in this reality and has to deal with the consequences of his actions. So he actually has to think about what's kind of going on here, and instead lets the alien thing go and helps Jerry with that. And the thing is, he also at one point got a fortune that said, you will make a new friend today. That becomes important because he was kind of utilizing that, not making a friend, as making him kind of pretty much immortal. So they get back home, and the thing is, he also used the Sailor Moon thing to get Jerry some clothes back, and Jerry got one of the last fortune cookies, wrote him thank you on it, and he starts kind of calling him out on it. It's like, this was probably one of the last ones that you could actually do an interesting kind of fortune on, and you just write thank you. He's like, oh, but you're my friend. He's like, God damn it. And he gets super pissed because, yes, he fucked over, he chose Jerry to save, but now Jerry's kind of fucked him over because, he fulfilled that one fate thing, and he's like, damn it, I was going to use that for, like, immortality and shit like that. Fuck. And it's stupid that he starts, like, hitting him and getting, like, really pissed off at him. It's like, I could understand the frustration. It's interesting that we have him kind of move forward a little bit by actually stopping Jerry from having sex with his mother, but then him still being a self-centered asshole. So it's interesting to see, like, the back and forth on that. I could see how somebody would be like, yeah, that shows that they kind of want to stay more in the status quo and we won't really get character development on him, but we have kind of seen him thinking more about the consequences of his actions and kind of trying to be better, even though most of the times he doesn't really succeed on that. And then, of course, we get the whole thing at the end with Morty seeing the whole kind of fucked up ad and everything going on with the zoo. So I kind of liked it because it took an interesting premise and it went pretty kind of funny places and just was overall enjoyable. Even though I haven't had something that's, like, really kind of knocked my ass off and just had me laughing like ain't nobody's business, I've had constant enjoyment and really thought that these were well done and well executed so far, and thought out ones that were just entertaining. So I hope that they continue on with this, because this has been a pretty consistent season for me, and if that's not been the case for you, that's quite alright to feel that way. I could understand being like, they're not portaling, they're not doing insane fucking things like going on like a giant universal level, but I think trying to stop a strange fucking fortune of Jerry fucking his mom was an interesting one for them to kind of go through and escalate to. So we'll kind of see what other crazy shenanigans we get into as the season continues. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.